G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Cobbers. So today we're going to mix up a little. Last week was Italian, this week we're going to go a little bit of Indian. So we're going to be cooking my recipe for butter chicken. It's a little bit more healthier than the regular butter chicken that you can get from your local curry place, but I feel it's just as good, so let's get to it. So first of all, you're going to want to chop up some of the veggies that you need for this recipe. So I got a brown onion here, which we'll just dice. I got a pumpkin, which is going to be skinned and chopped up, de-seeded or seeded. I think that's definitely the word, seeded, chopped up into smaller pieces. In this bag here, I got some mushrooms, and here I've got some nice broccoli. So we're just going to chop that up into smaller pieces, and then we'll move on to the next step from there. So for this recipe, you want a big pan. So I'm using a big pan here because there's a lot of stuff that goes in that pan there. So what I'm going to do is get some olive oil. You could use vegetable oil anyway, I prefer olive oil personally. So we're just going to splash that around. We'll wait for that pan to heat up. You can see that, just chuck it in that pan there. Wait for it to heat up. And then we'll chuck that onion in the pan and get cracking. Alright, so now we've got those onions in that pan. I'll mix that, we'll just turn it on the low heat. You don't want to burn those onions. And now we'll get onto the pumpkin. As you can see, I've already seeded the pumpkin. We'll just chop that, get rid of the skin, and we'll chop that into fine pieces just like that. So there you have it. So there's the pumpkin, and now we're going to do the same with the broccoli and the mushrooms. So there guys, we've got our vegetables now. So we've got our Jap pumpkin, our broccoli and our mushrooms. So we're just going to place that in the pan, and then we'll move on to the next step. So this next step here is entirely optional. I know some of you, butter chicken is considered one of the milder of the Indian curries, but if you saw the episode last week, you know how much I love spicy food. So I'm going to add some Thai red curries here. I'm going to chop them up finely. I'm going to add that into that pan there, and we'll take it from there. So with our veggies all nice and simmering in the pan there, we're going to move on to the next step. So we got some, so we're going to move on to the most important part, arguably the butter chicken, the chicken itself. So I use breast fillets because it's a bit of a leaner meat, but thigh can work just as good. It's totally up to you. So you want about 500 grams of the chicken. So what we're going to do, we're going to get that out, we're going to dice that into smaller pieces, and then we're going to chuck that in the pan there. Alright, so now we've diced that chicken and we've chucked in the pan. We're just going to turn it up a bit higher, and what we're going to do, we're going to brown that chicken for about 5 minutes before we get started to making the sauce. So you can see the heat turn up, just let it nice and sizzle. We're about at the halfway mark of the recipe, and I feel it's a perfect time to crack open the beer. So now it's been about 5 minutes and we've got that chicken brown in the pan. We're just going to add 2 more vegetables into that mix. So I have 75 grams here of green beans, which I've chopped up, and some half a cup of chickpeas, which have been drained. I'm just going to place them in there. These two, you don't necessarily have to add them in this recipe, but I enjoy those flavors. I enjoy a bit more depth, so feel free to pick and choose again what you add. Alright, so now guys, we're going to move on to the sauce. So with the sauce, you can obviously buy your own a pre-made simmer sauce, but for me, I like to make my own style sauce. So what we're going to do here, we got a tin of diced tomatoes, about 400 grams, and we got some spice mix. So there's multiple spice mixes. This was just that one I happened to pick up. So we need to chop about 15 grams of that in there. So just 1 tablespoon is about 15 grams. And I got some garlic, so I'm just going to, this is my own personal preference again, so I'm just going to chuck a little bit more garlic in there. So we'll come back and see how that goes. Right, so this is coming along together beautifully. So we've added the tinned tomatoes and the spices, and as you can see, there's a nice little sauce forming. It's just thinning. So of course now we've got to add the the creamy, that adds the creaminess of the butter chicken. But I do not use cream. I use Greek yogurt. I feel Greek yogurt is a bit more of a healthier choice. So I'll grab the Greek yogurt and go. So as you can see, I got some Farmers Union Greek style yogurt. So we're going to chop about 100 grams or half of this 200 ml in the sauce there, and we're just going to mix that up. And Bob's your uncle. So now I've added the yogurt to the mix. So now we're just going to lower the heat. Just lower the heat there. And we're just going to let that simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're almost ready to serve. So guys, I'm nearly done. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker than some normal chicken, but considering the amount of stuff in here, that does not bother me. Again, it's up to you. You can add a little bit of water if you want that bit of thick, bit of more curry-like runny consistency. But what we're going to do here, we're going to add some spinach leaves, and I have a little bit of coriander here, which I'm going to add in there. Again, this is all personal preference. And then we'll be also, I'll add that in there, and then we're pretty much ready to eat this. So the usual accompaniment for a butter chicken, of course, is basmati rice, but I'm sticking with a bit of a healthy theme this recipe, and I'm going to use some cauliflower rice. So you can buy this pre-packaged. It's about $3 at the supermarket. So just going to chuck this in a bowl, put some wrap on it, put it in the microwave, and it will just add as a regular rice with this one. So this now is all ready to plate up. But the great thing about a recipe like this is, with the amount that you're cooking, if you have a couple of takeaway containers lying around, you can place it, and then you got some meals for the next couple of lunches or dinners, leftovers. You can do what I do. I like putting one in the freezer. So anytime you're feeling lazy, say you just made in time at home for the footy, chuck it from the freezer, put it in the microwave. Got yourself a nice hearty meal. So there we have it, guys. There's the butter chicken with some cauliflower rice, a little bit more of that yogurt, and I added some trusty old Frank's hot sauce. And I've bought something that you've got to have with every curry, garlic naan. So we got garlic naan, we got a beer. So we're just going to have a bit of the, look here, just going to stir that yogurt up in there, and then we're going to get a nice, get some of that rice, some of that rice in there. So and let's have a bit of a taste test. Let's have a look at that in there. Well, there you have it, guys. That was absolutely delicious. So I'm going to have another sip of my beer and eat the rest of this curry. And just to show you, you do not need to go to your local Indian restaurant to have a good, healthy butter chicken at home. So remember to like this if you enjoyed the meal. Try it. If you try it out yourself, leave a note in the comments. If you have any suggestions as well for future recipes, leave them down in the comments below. And again, this is Lochie for Cooking with Cobbers. See you later, fellas.